Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
In
Iraq, the U.S. Army announced that 12 militants have been killed and 5 civilians have been injured in the second wide-scale Iron Fist military operation. The operation was started by approximately 1,000 U.S. Marines in various areas in the Sunni Anbar province on the Iraqi-Syrian border. According to the American Army, the goal of this operation is to eliminate al-Qaeda members in the area and destroy their avenues of support.
القوات الأمريكية اختارت هذه المرة القبضة الحديدية اسما لعمليتها العسكرية.
This time the U.S. forces decided to call this wide-scale military operation Iron Fist, which is being carried out in the city of Qaim and surrounding areas, specifically in the villages of Ramallah, Saada, and Samah, near the Iraqi-Syrian border. The new Iron Fist operation is the third massive attack being carried out in the area by the U.S. forces in the past 4 months. 1,000 U.S. Marines and sailors from Regimental Combat Team 2 are participating in the operation with the support of warplanes. The announced goal is to hit the al-Qaeda organization in Iraq and prevent what Washington calls foreign fighters from infiltrating into Iraq through the Syrian borders. However, the local residents deny accusations that their city is a haven for foreign fighters.
إلا أن السكان المحليين ينفون تهمة إيواء بلداتهم لمقاتلين أجانب من أي مكان.
There are no foreign fighters here, and there are no Arab fighters. Only the residents of Al-Qaim who are defending their property, honor, and homes, which have been shelled by the American aggressors, who also are harassing people in the streets.
Other civilians called on the Iraqi government to protect them against death from the raids and protect them against hunger.
We have no food, no water, and no clothes. We do not have anything, and the government hasn't given us anything. We can't even talk.
حصاد القبضة الحديدية في يومها الثاني هو 8 قتلى في صفوف المسلحين وفقا لما أعلنه الجيش الأمريكي.
According to a U.S. Army statement, the second day of the Iron Fist operation has resulted in the killing of 8 armed fighters. Meanwhile, an electronic statement by the al-Qaeda subgroup, the Jihad organization in the land of 2 rivers, confirmed that they have kidnapped 2 Marines who were among the patrol units during the Iron Fist operation in western Iraq. In a statement, the Americans denied that there was any kidnapping. The al-Qaeda statement gave the U.S. 24 hours to release Iraqi Muslim female prisoners in Iraqi jails, otherwise the 2 Marine hostages would be executed. The U.S. military operation against members of al-Qaeda in western Iraq comes only 2 weeks before the referendum on the controversial new Iraqi constitution. Both American political and military leaders expect that there will be a rise in attacks and violence throughout the country, similar to the attacks that took place during the January elections earlier this year after the fall of the Saddam Hussein regime.
Chaos continues in Gaza as dozens of Palestinian police officers stormed the Palestinian parliament this afternoon, demanding that the authority launch a security campaign against Hamas activists. One police officer said that they want the Palestinian Authority to take a stand against Hamas and that their blood has been shed for the sake of Palestinian Authority while it does nothing.
Many bullets were being fired randomly as if armed clashes had erupted during the funeral procession of Ali Maqawi, who was killed during the gunfire exchange between Hamas and the Palestinian Authority, in which each blamed the other. When the situation came under control, the body of the Palestinian policeman was transported to his family's home so they could take a final look at him before his burial. These events, which were described as tragic and shameful, shocked the Palestinian people and made them feel sorry for what is happening.
We hope that these weapons would be aimed at the Israelis. All Palestinian people feel sad for what happened between us as the Palestinian factions were fighting one another.
Efforts are being exerted by the High Observation Committee of National and Islamic Factions in order to stop Palestinian bloodshed and contain the recent events which have killed 3 and injured dozens of others. These events took place a few days after the Palestinian Authority launched a campaign to stop the display of weapons in the streets, and after reaching an agreement with the Palestinian factions to do as such.
The policemen are citizens, not foreigners. They are citizens like the members of every Palestinian faction. They are our brothers and dear friends. We are urging our people to look carefully at what is happening. We urge everyone to support us so we can enforce order and law.
The Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas received a number of prominent leaders, elders, and family members of the policeman Akkawi and talked with bitterness about the deteriorating internal security situation. He questioned the justification of carrying weapons after the Israeli withdrawal from Gaza.
We actually began to send police officers to the streets to protect citizens. The job of the police is to protect citizens, their lives, their security, and to protect their dignity and honor. The police do not attack anyone, so what is the justification of someone carrying a machine gun and bombs in his car? This explains why we have such results when friction happens.
The Palestinians are witnessing a state of tension and anger, and they still hear the sounds of bullets from time to time. What happened in Gaza is only one aspect of the security breakdown which Palestinian people have been paying the price for. It is also an indication of the shaky agreements that were made between the Palestinian Authority and the Palestinian factions, and between the Hamas movement and the Palestinian Authority in particular. Palestinians fear that a full-fledged armed confrontation may erupt between the two. Hazim Badaru, Abu Dhabi Television, Gaza.
President Mahmoud Abbas asserted that the PNA is committed to implement what had been agreed upon on ending all armed chaos in the Palestinian streets. During His Excellency's meeting with Palestinian dignitaries from Khan Yunis, President Abbas asserted that the honest of the PNAs and law must prevail, pointing out that all the world are looking to the experience of maintaining law and order in Gaza Strip after the Israeli withdrawal. The Democratic Front condemned the incidents which took place yesterday between security forces and the PNA and Hamas movement, which led to the death and the injury of a number of Palestinian citizens, calling for the adherence to the decisions of the Higher Follow-up Committee on ending all armed chaos. The front also asserted that the only way for solving the internal problems is the national dialogue. Families of prisoners and detainees held today their weekly sit-in strike in front of the premises of the International Committee of the Red Cross in Gaza City. The participants called on the international community to pressure Israel to release all the prisoners as soon as possible. Meanwhile, in line with the international campaign in solidarity with the prisoners inside the Israeli jails, Ministry of Prisoners and Ex-Prisoners, on cooperation with a number of non-governmental institutions, held today a symposium titled "The Prisoner's Life After the Israeli Withdrawal." Minister of Detainees and Ex-Detainees Sufyan Abu Zaida considered the Israeli decision on maintaining the prisoners of Gaza Strip in the Israeli jails till ending their serving period as unjust, and Israel as a racism state. For his part, Director of Al-Mizan Center of Human Rights, Assam Yunus, said that from the legal side, Gaza Strip is still under occupation. The police force in Hebron City held today a military parade in commemoration of the martyrdom of internal leader Yasser Arafat and the start of the holy month of Ramadan. The parade was launched from the yard of Al-Hussein bin Ali High School and took to the streets of the city, where head of the police force, Brigadier General Aouni Samara, asserted that the Palestinian police will continue providing our people with protection, highly evaluating the cooperation of citizens with police, adding that the police will work on enforcing law and chase all outlaws who endanger the security of the citizens. Israeli occupation troops commented recently the construction of the racial separation wall on the land of Anata High School, east of Jerusalem, where the occupation confiscated 3.5 dunums of the school land, depriving the students of practicing sports activities at the school's yard, which was totally destroyed. Meanwhile, the regional council of the unrecognized villages in the Negev area strongly condemned today the Israeli policy aimed at Judaizing the Negev.
Palestinian Parliament, voted today to urge President Mahmoud Abbas to dismiss the Palestinian cabinet for failing to halt armed chaos in Gaza after the Israeli withdrawal. Signaling growing public frustration with lawlessness in Palestinian areas, legislators voted 43-5 with 5 abstentions to call on Abbas to form a new government in 2 weeks or face a no-confidence vote. The legislators largely endorsed a parliamentary committee's report that accused the cabinet, led by Prime Minister Ahmed Qurayb, of mishandling the Palestinian Authority's response to factional anarchy, but stopped short of a no-confidence vote. The report by 18 pro-reform members of Abbas's Fatah party urged him to form a government that is capable of delivering its tasks, as well as fire all directors of security services who failed to fulfill their duties and appoint new ones. Meanwhile, on the ground, hundreds of Palestinians, including security men, took to the streets of Gaza City in the funeral procession for police officer Ali Mikawi, who was killed yesterday when Hamas gunmen shot Qassam rockets at the Shati police station in the city. Hamas activists were posted in the buildings watching the street where the funeral took place and started shooting at the procession when security men arrived. People ran for cover as a gun battle erupted between Hamas and security forces. Palestinian policemen later stormed a Palestinian Legislative Council meeting in Gaza, demanding that the Palestinian Authority take control of the situation and put an end to disorder. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Authority Attorney General announced the results of the investigation into last month's explosion, which took place during a Hamas parade that killed 23 Palestinians. Ahmed al-Mughanim said the blast that took place was with a Jeep Magnum, which was carrying 4 missiles. He added that while steering to the sides, the Jeep hit a ditch in the road, which resulted in one of the missiles falling on the ground. This missile, he said, exploded and led to the explosion of the 3 remaining ones. Jordan joins many Arab and Islamic countries in declaring tomorrow, Tuesday, the first day of the holy fasting month of Ramadan. Islamic Chief Justice Azzeddin al-Khatib al-Tamimi announced in a televised statement that the moon marking the beginning of the holy month was detected and seen. He urged citizens to observe the noble values Islam attached to the holy month and to do more for charity and feel with their fellow needy citizens. Many Arab and Islamic countries have also announced that Ramadan starts tomorrow, but some states said Wednesday will be the first day of the holy month. During the holy month, Muslims will refrain from eating, drinking, and smoking from dawn till sunset.
The Rosh Hashanah New Year's holiday is set to begin in just under an hour as Israelis throughout the country are putting the finishing touches on holiday preparations. Police are on top alert and will be deployed throughout the country and on the Green Line over the holiday season. The IDF is on high alert as well. The security establishment said there are 55 general intelligence warnings of possible terror attacks against Israeli targets. The closure on the West Bank and Gaza will remain in effect until after Yom Kippur. The past year has been a difficult one for Israel, but in his Rosh Hashanah New Year's message, Prime Minister Ariel Sharon said he believed the country is stronger as a result.
Dear friends, as we stand at the dawn of a new year, I send you my best wishes for a happy new year from Jerusalem, the eternal and united capital of the State of Israel and the Jewish people. The Jewish people have a long and unique history. We have overcome long periods of persecution and suffering, while at the same time achieving many magnificent accomplishments. The modern and vibrant state of Israel being the greatest of those. In its short history, the state of Israel has faced many challenges. Through the good times and the bad, our brothers and sisters in the diaspora have always stood beside us and sustained us. My government firmly believes in strengthening the ties between the diaspora and the State of Israel, and is working to achieve that goal. We consider your support to be an invaluable asset in our effort to safeguard Israel's vital interests. The past few months have not been easy for the citizens of Israel. However, I believe that we will emerge from this experience united, and that Israel's identity as a Jewish and democratic state will be strengthened. Together with you, we look forward with hope and optimism. I wish us all a new year of peace and quiet, health, prosperity, and happiness.
In Cairo, Jalal Arif won the post of the Egyptian Journalists Union chairman in the second round of elections that took place at the Egyptian Journalists headquarters. During this time, a demonstration occurred and protesters demanded the release of political prisoners and an end to the state of emergency.
The Administrative Judiciary Council, who is responsible for overseeing the Journalists' Union elections, announces the following. First, the victory of Jalal Arif Muhammad Uthman with the position of chairman for the Egyptian Journalists' Union.
This result by the Administrative Judiciary Council announced the victory of Jalal Arif over his opponent Ibrahim Hijazi with a large margin in votes in what the journalists considered to be the most competitive and transparent elections. Arif received 1,675 votes, whereas Hijazi received 1,087 votes in one of the smallest unions, yet the most influential. You are witnessing the failure of large institutions and the collapse of monopolistic entities both at the political and journalistic levels. I believe you are standing before a very strong and tangible struggle, and the outcomes confirm the existence of this struggle.
There is a real battle for the position of the chairman of the guild, and both candidates who entered the second round of elections are enjoying wide support, which explains why they acquired the number of votes they did in the first round of elections.
Journalists see that the changes which took place in the Journalists' Union are a reflection of the democratic situation and the political change taking place in Egypt.
It is impossible for the chairman of the Journalists' Union to escape the political situation in Egypt. There is a demand for change. There is a demand for tangible and democratic transformation in Egypt, and I believe that the union has a role to play in this. The congested atmosphere in the street is caused by the fact that people have lots of demands, while the government officials are very protective over their seats.
This election and its results show this to be a turning point for political change in Egypt. This is the first time we are witnessing the absence of both government officials and monopolistic and large press agencies. Meanwhile, only a few meters away from the headquarters of the Journalists' Union, families of the political prisoners stood in demonstration, protesting the imprisonment of some of their relatives for up to 10 years and demanding their immediate release and an end to the state of emergency.
My brother has been in jail for 14 years. He left behind 5 children with no one to support them, and now they're all roaming the streets without a home. All we're asking for is that they release him and have mercy on us.
I just want my son to come out. May Allah be generous to me and let him come out during Ramadan so he could spend Ramadan with me. This is enough. I say this is enough. They told me it would be 2 days, but it has been more than 2 years.
My son has been in prison for 12 years. He lost his sight in prison and he can no longer walk. They took him from me for 12 years.
The latest developments concerning the Journalists' Union and the demonstrations held by the families for the political prisoners are an indication of the laxity of the political situation, considering that in the past any political display was banned.
According to Lebanese ministerial sources, Detlef Melis, the head of the UN probe into the assassination of former Prime Minister Rafiq Hariri, met with political and judicial officials before leaving for Europe yesterday. The sources said those talks aimed at continuing the investigation until the perpetrators of the February 14th bombing were caught. The sources said Melis would present his findings to UN Chief Kofi Annan and Lebanese officials on October 21st, while the report would be published on October 25th. The UN team investigating the killing of Hariri was to ask for an extension of its mandate until mid-December. Prime Minister Fouad Siniora made the announcement yesterday following a meeting with President Emil Lahoud at the Ba'ada Presidential Palace. Justice Minister Sharriz praised the extension of the UN probe, saying this would help Lebanon in its own investigation. The UN team, led by German prosecutor Detlef Melis, was due to report to the Security Council by October 25th on the February assassination that plunged Lebanon into its worst crisis since the 1975 to 1990 civil war. The Security Council has already extended the inquiry's original 3-month deadline. Prime Minister Fouad Siniora, who gave no explanation, told reporters he believed Melis would take all the necessary measures to his mission continues until December 15th, which was the period originally assigned to him by the Security Council. The Security Council ordered the UN investigation after a fact-finding mission concluded Lebanon was incapable of conducting a credible inquiry of its own. It gave Melis 3 months, but he was allowed to ask for a maximum of 3 extra months, taking the probe to mid-December. It was not clear why Melis might need more time, but diplomatic sources have said his team had not ruled out returning to Damascus for more interviews with Syrian officials. UN investigators last month quizzed several Syrian officials over the assassination and the killing of 20 people in a truck bombing many Lebanese blame on Damascus. Syria has denied any role in the bombing that killed Hariri or the ensuing string of blast and assassination. A UN official declined to comment on a possible extension of the inquiry, but diplomatic sources said it was up to the Security Council to decide if Melis would get more time. One UN source said, either way, he must report to the Security Council on October 25th. Melis left Beirut on Sunday. It was not clear when he would return. Neither side has named the Syrian officials interviewed by UN investigators, but political sources in Lebanon said they include senior intelligence officers working in Lebanon at the time of the blast and their commanders in Damascus. Lebanon has already arrested 4 pro-Syrian generals in connection with Hariri's killing and charged them with murder. With a string of bombings shaking the country, the government has been criticized for failing to replace them. Siniora said the new security chiefs would be named after a cabinet meeting on Tuesday. President Emil Lahoud must sign the decree to appoint them.
Turkey's EU hopes hung in the balance today, and the EU tittered on the brink of a new crisis as British Foreign Secretary Jack Straw admitted he was unsure the bloc could start landmark talks with Ankara. Hours before the European Union was due to start membership talks with Turkey in Luxembourg, Straw said discussions were at a difficult stage. The talks are blocked by Austrian demands that the EU offer the vast, mainly Muslim country something less than full membership. Late-night negotiations yesterday failed to break the deadlock.
You get a sense fairly quickly whether there is a clear will to resolve matters by being imaginative about text or whether in fact one is simply going through the motions and there is a gulf of principle. That's the issue we've been trying to tease out with our Austrian colleagues.
In Indonesia, police today scrutinized an amateur videotape showing a man apparently with a backpack entering a Bali restaurant seconds before one of 3 suicide bombings that killed up to 27 people and wounding 122. Investigators released the footage late yesterday of a man in a black shirt and jeans strolling into a restaurant on the resort island, followed almost instantly by an explosion. 3 separate bombs tore through restaurants packed with Saturday evening diners, many of them foreign tourists. 2 were outdoor seafood eateries on Jimbaran Beach and 1 a steak bar at Kuta Beach, an area surrounded by popular shops. This morning, a team of 4 foreign forensics experts was seen entering the Kuta Beach bomb site. Australia has said it would send investigators to help.
تحاول مدرسة الفسيفساء بمدينة مأدب الأردنية المحافظة على اللوحات الفنية.
The Mosaic School in Jordan's city of Madaba is trying to preserve the ancient artistic portraits, which are considered to be part of the cultural heritage that must be protected from being forgotten. At the beginning of every school year, 15 students who have artistic talent will try to restore these portraits without diminishing their value.
Reviving the beautiful past is the goal behind the establishment of this unique school in the Jordanian city of Madaba, located 30 kilometers south of the capital Amman. Perhaps the school was deliberately built next to the Virgin Mary Church, which dates back to the 6th century AD, and next to a historic park that has the oldest mosaic portrait that was found in the 1st century BC. These two sites have a significant amount of artifacts, which would have been forgotten if it wasn't for the efforts of these youth.
هذه الكنوز كاد يبتلعها النسيان لولا أنامل هؤلاء الفتيان.
عام 1992 كانت مبادرة من الحكومة الأردنية على تأسيس
In 1992, there was an initiative by the Jordanian government to establish a school or center that would specialize in restoring and maintaining mosaics. The goal of this center is to have local experts who specialize in restoration and maintenance, and also to effectively revive the art of mosaic work.
مادة أو فن الفسيفساء إعادة إحيائه من جديد.
This idea began over 13 years ago, and in 1995, with Italian support, the school opened. Each year, the school has 15 artistically talented students who attend in order to complete their high school education, specializing in the restoration and maintenance of mosaic work. There has been greater interest in entering vocational schools. However, the complex knowledge and expertise allows for only a few students to enter, and this number is small when compared to the level of interest.
My family encouraged me, and they know how much I love art and diversity. I love to draw, and I love mosaic work, which requires creativity. A person needs to know how to draw so he could develop his skills and make beautiful mosaic portraits.
The students graduate after spending 2 years at the school, and then about 6 of them go to the university to study artifacts and art. As for the rest, they have 3 options. They could open new businesses, or they could work with centers that do such activities, or they could work with archaeologists who recover artifacts and restore them.
It's good because it does not just include academic work. There's other work involved. It helps me understand history and civilizations. Anyone who is not in the field will not know about it unless they study it. So this is what caught my attention.
Some worry that mosaic art will be forgotten, but those who love this work say that it will stay alive as long as people hold on to their history and they remain the protectors of the heritage of the past.
The views expressed on Mosaic are not those of Link TV or its sponsors, but of the broadcasters themselves. Mosaic is made possible by a grant from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, which promotes journalism excellence worldwide and invests in the vitality of 26 U.S. communities, and the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. Additional support is provided by the Firedoll Foundation and Henry and Virgilia Dakin.